The Springboks win 24-13 after 13 years. 13. Huh? 30 long years. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Rugby Scoop podcast. We're hitting the road running. We're not wasting any time. I'm with Hugh Griffin. I'm with Jade Craig. It's going to be heated. No holds barred as usual. You know what it's like. Welcome to all the listeners. Jade, how's it going in Bloem? I hear it's baie warm over there. And summer is starting to kick in. Just a bit closer to the mic, I think.
1 second, is that better?
Ah, fantastic. Yes, warm.
There we go. No, it's going good. It's not hot. It's raining. In Bloemfontein. It's going good. Before we start off on the pod, just want to give a special congratulations to Saldanha Rugby Club for winning the ball on top 12. I know we've got a lot of listeners, from that region, all playing rugby and listening to our pod every week. And I want to say congrats to Saldanha Rugby Club for winning the ball on top 12, the Sunderland ball on top 12. Over 30,000 people probably in the stadium yesterday in Wellington. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And also the gardener, the stats man. Tom Rogers, hat-trick. But anyway, how are you doing before we get into that?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's mean streets out there, but we're nice and safe and warm in here.
Yeah, it was snowing this morning in Amsterdam. Opened the door for the dog to go take a wee leak outside. And man, it was freezing, actually. Staying indoors is the best option right now before I head down to the warmth of South Africa. And we also want to take note of what took place in South Africa over this past week. I think it was the 21st of November, where everyone was probably wondering why a lot of people have purple, purple profiles during this past week. Yes, it was just to recognize gender-based violence that's been taking place in South Africa. So, we stand with everybody that has obviously suffered under these circumstances and obviously hoping for a better future for everybody going forward. And Siya Kolisi had also announced this as well during his pre-match or post-match conferences. And so we stand with everyone down in SA currently during this time as well. And then, without wasting any time, Malcolm Marx has been named World Player of the Year. Jade, he was up against his former teammates, or his current teammates, Peter Steph Dutoy. He was up against Ox Nche, and he was up against the Frenchman, Louis Biore. And what are your thoughts regarding Malcolm Marx being named Player of the Year?
I mean, it wasn't just a few months ago that we were complaining on the pod, Malcolm Marx, is his form, is he still up to, is he still world class?
Exactly.
Does he still have it? But I think, after the Wellington test, after the Eden Park test, going to the Wellington test, I think that's where he really kicked on. If he was the best player of the year in the year, I don't know, but for me, I think, Ox and Louis Pierre was better, but obviously LBB never toured New Zealand at the end of the year, and it counted quite against him.
Yeah.
And then Pieter-Steph du Toit was consistent, and always, I don't know, I would like to hear yours, because I was thinking about just now. I mean, if Pieter-Steph had to get it again, which means that he would win it 3 times now.
Yeah.
Putting up with the likes of McCaw and Carter, I mean, that's now up with GOAT status, And would the people up north accept that their poster boy and the Pont is only won it once, but you have Pieter-Steph du Toit winning it 3 times, how would that feel for the pundits up north? So yeah, for me, there was a lot of guys that missed out. Scoop, that should have been nominated. I mean, if you look at a guy like Len Ikitau, he was brilliant for the Wallabies this year. I mean, he was one of the guys, that I really thought in the British Lions tour, he was brilliant. He was brilliant against the Boks in the Rugby Championship, in a team that was losing. And then you had, Marawi Toji, brilliant leadership for the Lions, for England as well. He's the heartbeat of that England team. He's workload, everything, and he's just been there. And then obviously, you have guys like Ardie Savea. I mean, that's tapered off at the end, but Ardie Savea played every minute of all of the All Black Test bar the last game. So, and he played a lot of, but 90% of Moana Pacific's games as well. So you're looking at them as well. But in this, with these awards, an award like this is always somebody else's opinion. But for me, if I had to give it, would have been between Ox and Pieter-Steph. But yeah, that was my theory is that, they wouldn't give it to Pieter-Steph, but you would have 3, and it wouldn't go too nice against their poster boy up there, that number 9 of France.
Hugh, are you going to jump in to answer that question?
Look, I think Dupont's got his super fans, hasn't he, who are always going to be demanding the best for him. I think that there's quite a lot of people who are, he picked up an ACL partway through the Six Nations. He was quiet on his return from Sevens last November, I think that from a French point of view, I've seen more shouts for Thomas Ramos than I have for Dupont, to be fair, this season. So I don't think there's many people going to be pushing back against that. But, the fact that he was being called the GOAT when he hadn't actually won that much at test level anyway, I don't think a World Player of the Year or not was going to sway anybody's opinion on that front, to be honest with you. I think in terms of who should have won it, I don't know, guys. We've been talking Springboks on this pod all year, and I don't know that Marks is the player that we've spoken about the most. I think Jade's right. Towards the beginning of the season, we were saying, look, this guy is he keeping his place in the team on reputation from 2 years ago? And to be fair, he has turned it around fully by the end of the year. But I don't know if it's supposed to be from October to November or November to November. Was he the Springboks' best player during that time? I'm not so sure, to be honest. But they don't take club form into it at all. So, to be honest, I don't have that stronger views on it, to be real with you.
Fantastic. No, not too bad. And then the breakthrough player of the year, I think this one was quite obvious for everybody. Fabian Holland winning this one. And I don't think anyone is surprised by this. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk around Pollock getting it. And I think Skalkberger summed it up quite nicely during the week regarding this current player. So, yeah, we're not going to dive into that, to be honest. I think we have enough to talk about regarding the test matches. All Blacks will be covering. Wallabies we're going to cover. And then the Springboks and Ireland as well. We're going to start off with that. I think there's been a lot has happened last night, man. I don't know. Obviously, leading up to the game, I honestly believe that the Springboks would take it by 15 points plus. And I did post that as well on my timeline. And I think they left a lot of points out there. But Hugh, from your standpoint, maybe summarize the game of what you thought. And then then Jade, we can start getting into the nitty gritty. We can talk about the scrums. We can talk about the technical detail. Then we can talk about the yellow cards and the officiating, right? I mean, Sasha getting away, or lucky. Let's rather just say lucky not to have had an off-field review regarding his tackle technique, that is. But obviously, the ref saw it differently. And 2 weeks, right, prior, we saw 2 red cards for something similar. And then all of a sudden, there's a change of heart, change of mind from a referee's perspective, which kind of bothers me to a degree, because why would the referees feel so strongly in the past 2 weeks, and then a week later, a third week now, they're not as strong as they were before? Who is in charge of referees? Yeah, the French guy Joel Jout. Don't know how to pronounce his surname, but World Rugby needs to come and answer for this as well, because the mandate comes from the top for referees on how to officiate or what they'll be strict on, right? And now to kind of change tune 3 weeks later after somebody has been banned, like a Lord Diaga, someone has copped or didn't even finish the match, like a Franco Mostard, so it boggles the mind on what is the rugby mandate for officials. What are they? Why do they change tune halfway through? Because a lot of times, I think even now, I was thinking the other day, just a hit, right? When you hit a guy on your chest and then you slide up, because the game is dynamic, bodies are moving, bodies are not head standing still, right? So should we even look at that as an offense to an extent where they go yellow card? Because some people are dropping into these tackles. Some people are changing direction. It's sudden change of direction, not just any direction. I mean, if you look at Sivu Reese's footwork against the Welsh player, for example, I mean, being beaten like that, and imagine if he caught him high because he got beaten because of the footwork. If this example makes sense, I'm trying to paint a picture of how these dynamic incidences take place in a rugby match. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about. But let's go back to the main question. The game yesterday. What would you rate it out of 10 first, and then what are your thoughts?
As a game, as something that I would sit down and do to either relax or enjoy myself, as a neutral, 4 out of 10, in that I pretty much considered turning it off and doing something else.
Yeah.
Then that's no disrespect to either side. I thought it was a high quality game of rugby. I thought that someone messaged me and said it's the tightest one-sided game they've ever seen. And I think that sums it up perfectly, because it was completely one-sided, and yet Ireland was still in the fight. And I think that Ireland deserve a lot of credit for that. But, and we had a bit of a disagreement with Vuyo, Coach V, in the WhatsApp about this. And, obviously Coach V knows a lot about his rugby, so I see what he's saying. But for me, look, clearly the Springboks were the better team, and clearly they had ascendancy at scrum time. That's absolutely not up for debate. However, my point is, tell the scoreboard about it. It's you've got all this time, you've got all this possession, you've got all this ascendancy 5 meters away from the opposition line, and you haven't turned it into points. Now, at a super basic level, dumbed down level, that's bad, isn't it? That you've not been able to turn pressure into points. That's what people say that you should be able to do, and they didn't do that. And it's like they got something in their head. It's like they were trying to prove a point, like, we would rather just get all your props yellow carded. Because if they'd got Porter yellow carded, it would have gone to golden oldies, and then what do they do? Right? So
would have gone, uncontested scrums.
And then what do they do from that? And then do they spin it wide? Or what? So it's like it's like they got something in their head. It was like almost a form of white line fever, where they were desperate to do this. They were trying to prove a point or something. I'm like, guys, you must have a starter play that can put a winger over in the corner in this situation.
Yeah.
Like 5 meters from the line, scrub centre field against 14, 13 men. You must have a play that can put Moody or Colby over in the corner, surely. And they didn't. And yes, congratulations. They were the better team, like I said, and they proved that their scrum is a lot better than Ireland's. Yes, you've done that, but you didn't turn it into points on the board. And for me, the aim of the game is to get points on the board. So that's why it was frustrating. And Scoot, I'll let you take over, Scoot, because you were telling me about how much time they actually spent down there, where basically it was just scrum after scrum after scrum. Now, I like a scrum. I love a scrum battle, but this was something else.
Oh, man. Jesus. Oh, my God. I mean, I had a rewatch this morning, and I just realized, because yesterday I had people over, so I was just checking out every now and again. Couldn't really sit down and watch the game properly. but I had a rewatch this morning, and I was just looking at the officiating as number one thing. I mean, Ireland probably dominated the territorial game for the first 10, 12 minutes or so. And then post that, Springboks eventually got an opportunity, and then they scored immediately, right? But looking at the back end of the first half, where a lot of yellow cards were dished out, I mean, even getting a penalty try, which was supposedly Ireland should have gotten another yellow card, actually, because it is an infringement, right? Every penalty try has gotten a person carded for it, right? So I was surprised that Carly, because he just looked like somebody who just wants to get off that pitch at halftime, because there were so many scrums. But regardless of that, back to answering your question, I think I looked at about 6-7 minutes. And this is also post the 40th minute now, because Springboks were just asking for a scrum. And I'm like, guys, why aren't you going for poles? Why aren't you taking the threes? At least then, get the three, go back, start again. You're going to end up in the Irish 22 anyway, because you've got ascendancy, right? And then just keep ticking at the scoreboard, get the points, and then come back, get the points. I mean, this game could have been an easy 40-pointer for the Springboks, to be honest. An easy 40-pointer for the Springboks. And then second half, I mean, anybody who has a TV or has internet, go and watch that second half. From minute 55 to minute 65, where was the game played? And what was happening during that period? 16 feeds for the Boks in scrums in this game. One team, 16 scrums for one team. My goodness. Yes, I understand the Springboks are very strong at scrum time. They've proven it during Rugby Championship. They didn't go backwards. They weren't on roller skates. They've proven it in the inbound tour when Italy came through. But my goodness, guys, I mean, at this point, I don't know. Do we want to watch a game which was like a whole quarter of this 80 minutes was just scrums alone, and resets, and penalties, and yellow cards? I get it. Scrums are amazing. Scrums are good. I mean, anyone who doesn't like scrums, yes, will probably have a negative view on this, but we cannot watch 15 to 20 minutes of scrums. We want to see the running game. We want to see the patterns. We want to see the shape. We want to see action, because you know how long it takes for a scrum to set? At least 90 seconds. Do you know how long it takes for the ball to get out? That's at least another 2 minutes gone. 2 minutes gone. From the time the referee blows his whistle and puts his arm out for a scrum, start counting those seconds. We're looking at 60 to 90 seconds for that to happen. So, I mean, how much time do you think 16 scrums is going to take to reset, to set? That's a lot of time, guys. A whole quarter of that rugby game was just scrums. I mean, I would have been happy, more than happy, if the Boks could have scored 50. Because you know what? 50 points versus 13 looks much better than a 24 versus 13 in my books. And I'm sure a lot of players or a lot of fans, South African fans, surely a bit of frustration there regarding the scoreline, because now it looks like anyone who looks at that scoreline will probably go, my God, it was actually closer than I thought. But it wasn't. It's not telling the true story.
Ireland fans are saying, "Oh, we did well considering the cards and things." The Ireland fans
imagine
saying, actually, we can be proud
12 men for Ireland at one point. 12. They had 12 people, guys. They had 12 people on the field, and they still scored tries, mind you, in this whole circus. And they still scored tries. I mean, yeah, I think Ireland, yes, they'll probably take this as a positive. A lot of their fans, yes, sure. But also at the same time, maybe, yeah, Rasta is probably happy just to get this monkey off his back. Sure, take that, whatever. A win is a win at the end of the day. But a lot, I mean, even the disagreements that we had on the WhatsApp receipts was about Springboks launching an attack from set phase. When last have we seen this? Is it not capitalizing on the errors of other teams? I mean, are they not thinking highly of their attack shape from a set piece? There's all these questions. maybe Jade has the answers. Prat.
No, Scoop, let's look at it also from another perspective. I mean, if you look at the game overall, I mean, Ireland, for me, they started well. I mean, they breached that breach passing, that they had to get low, and Hansen and O'Brien out wide, getting in space was working in the first 10, 15 minutes. Then they got a foothold in the game after conceding what I would say at the time was a try against run of play, because they had all of the position, they had territory, and then they allowed Damon Williams, to score the Box's first attack of the game. And that also came from a line-out, so we can actually say that, yeah, there was a play there where the Box, worked their way from a line-out play, and then Damon Williams scored in the corner. So it's not like they don't have it up their sleeve. They have that up their sleeve. If you look at the try, okay, late come back later to a try. Sasha also came from a scrum where it was just simple basic run where hands and Sasha finished off Jamison Gibson Park and scored, So that was basically what you was looking for more of. But Ireland got back in the game, scored a try, Byrne went over, and then Ryan just had a brain fart, absolute thuggery brain fart. He's lucky to get a 20-minute red card does not serve that justice. In everything that we're going through this past few weeks, that's a straight out and out red. If Angus Gardner spoke about, if there's a thuggish act in the field, he deserves a
before you continue as well, Jade, I posted because leading up to that try that was disallowed, same exact person, 2 phases earlier, he literally jumps into a point of contact to clear out a Springbok player, and then 3 phases later, he does exact same thing, but this time into marks with a tucked arm, and I'm like, you must be kidding me. And then Carly is like, no, you pulled away. In the face, but nonetheless, continue.
Yeah, but Scoop, that also comes from the clean out wasn't accurate, and this is not so unlike Ireland, The clean wasn't accurate. There was a few times in that first 15 minutes when they go 15 against 15 that we get the overlap, low would break inside, and then, the next one would pick and go, and then they would get counteract or would be a turnover. That's not Ireland. The Ireland that we've come accustomed to under since the days of Schmidt and, it was now under Farrell. They're accurate at the breakdown. They can go phase after phase after phase. But they were so inaccurate at the breakdown on Saturday in the first 15 minutes. They were really getting shoved of the breakdown. You could see guys like Jasper. If a guy like Jasper Visser is getting steals, then you must know, you're not accurate at the break, because that's not what he's all about. He's not really a guy that gets over the ball.
I think it was a Springboks target as well, to really put some emphasis in those breakdowns.
But yeah, if you're looking at it now and you're looking at where we went, let's talk from 20th minute to the 40th minute. That for me, that phase was chaotic. That period of the game is where somebody and the leaders of Ireland, if I was the manager, if I was the coach in Farrell this week, and I mean, we had it possible, I would give a heavy fine to my leadership team because they were really disappointing. It was stupidity. I mean, you just offside now, Peregros, just offside. He gets offside again, 2 phases later, boom, he's off. The ref warns Portier, he tells him, if you do that again, I'm going to give you a yellow card. Just keep your bind up and just go back.
Go back.
Just go back.
People don't know this, You can go, guys. You can go backwards in a scrum. Let's say the scrum is on the halfway line. You can still go backwards as long as your bind is up, as long as you're straight, and you can go back 20 meters, right? And not get a penalty. Eventually, the ref will say, use it.
Yeah, the ref will say, and the big up chance that the guy like Jasper Visser, we know about it, because I know Dwayne from Ireland was one. He wasn't strong, and he admitted it towards the end of his career. He had to work a lot with the ball at his feet. Yeah. He had to work on his football skills, channeling the ball. And it's something that Jasper Visser is not that good at as well. So, the old school eights that always kept the ball in the field. They used to practice, keeping the ball in their feet, basically like dribbling a soccer ball and keeping it in the scrum. But you get it a lot. Once it balls to the back and it eight doesn't have control of the ball, the ref's going to say, use it. Use it, you don't have control. So go backwards, especially in that situation. And then you get, Crowley just comes on. He gives a stupid, soft yellow card as well. So you're looking at 4 yellow cards. That's stupidity, stupidity. In that period of play. Now, the Boks played against 12, and you had Bandi Aki doubling up. So he was playing center and, and flank. So he scrummed at scrum time and so. But during that period of play, I don't remember Chadron Colby touching the ball once on attack. I can't remember Chadron Colby touching the ball on attack.
It was very quiet yesterday.
But if you're playing against 13 men, 12 men, surely you want to give the ball to him. Surely you'd want to give the ball to him in the straight time. The Boks, yeah, I agree with you. Going to scrum time, and they were asserting their dominance in the game because basically every scrum was a free play for them. However, they didn't have that ability, to create something from scrum, or the one time Sasha scored. But what they did do well yesterday, Scoop, and we've seen it as they went to tail ball over the 50 a lot at line of time. And in doing so, they got the advantage. They played that numerical advantage. And Ireland saw it, okay, if we contest to the back and we contest, that means that our furthest, let's say our open side and our blind side flank, our chasers will never get there to support, because they're competing. So we're risking everything by putting up the pot at the back, and they stopped doing that. So Peter Steph got a lot of free ball at the back, and that allowed them, allowed the Boks, to swing the ball at times at the back. In the back line. So that was a good tactic. It was something new I saw from the Boks yesterday. They didn't really do that much this year, but it's something new and it's positive. Tony. We just need, that's Tony. But also then if I'm playing against them, I'm always going to put somebody up because it's a big chance. We know Malcolm Marx has the history of not throwing the ball straight at line on time. So, you can milk up. And that, it happened a few times yesterday. But that was something new that I saw yesterday from the Boks, and it was positive. And the other thing that I saw yesterday, from the Boks, what they did was, when scrum time as well, they pick and go too much, there was too much from them. Everybody went for themselves, pick and go, or we one-off runners at times. They got white line fever, where in the Boks to play collective, I think they should have. I'm telling you, Rassi's sitting there today, and he's happy with his performance. And yesterday, he's happy to get the monk with the back, but he's thinking, guys, we could have given them a 50 or 60 yesterday. Yeah. And for me, the international team that plays with 12 on the field, they deserve a 50 or 60 against them. I'm sorry. If I'm Farrell this week, I'm out of my leadership group because that's unacceptable. Unacceptable yesterday to play with 12 guys in the field, international rugby. Scoop, come on. There should be big fines going around.
No, fair. Another person, guys, I think obviously well done to Malcolm Marx, etc. But I think a standout player for me this season within the Springbok side is this underrated 100-year-old scrum half, Kobus Reinach. I think he's been in solid form, and he's really, really given, I don't know, man, he's given them great ascendancy in terms of how he manages. Sometimes he has brain farts, yes, and he knocks the ball on unnecessarily at the breakdowns, etc. There was one where Boks had ascendancy and he just knocked the ball, which was quite weird, but strange. But nonetheless, his individual brilliance is standout. We don't talk about this guy enough this season. Yes, everyone always looks at Grant Williams, for example, but Kobus Reinach, Hugh, for you, do you see him in the same light? How I'm judging him as one of the best guys to stand out in this team this year so far. I look at what is done during Rugby Championship, or actually even before that. And obviously they're trying to give this Van der Berg guy also an opportunity as a starter. But we know what Grant Williams is capable of. We know what Grant Williams does off the bench. But Kobus Reinach, man, for crying out loud, he's really been good for this Springbok team, especially now on this tour as well.
For sure. If you think about the start of the season, I don't think anybody would have had him down as Boks' first choice, where you had Grant, who's been playing so well. Faf seems to now be out of the picture, it seems. Other guys coming through, there's been a kind of a 3 or 4. We've had Morne van den Berg, seem to have been getting a chance at one point, and no more apparently, or seems to have dropped back a little bit apparently. So I think for Kobus to come through, he's coming back to the Stormers. So by the way, Kobus, Sasha, Willemse is going to be the Stormers, and apparently DDA wants to go back to the Stormers as well.
Yeah, imagine.
But I think he's done great, and I thought for Sasha's try, I thought off the back of the scrum he did really well to execute that move and get Sasha in the one-on-one where he's just handing off the player. I think for me, I think Grant could have come on a little bit earlier. I thought that Kobus started to diminish a little bit earlier than when he came off. So maybe Grant could have come on a bit earlier. But I think that Kobus deserves a lot of credit for really fighting for his place, reasserting himself. Who can forget the try against France as well? I think he's done himself proud this season for sure.
No, fair enough. Jade, talking about Kobus, but also Peter Steff yesterday. First half, he was a bit quiet, and then second half, all of a sudden, he's a Peter Steff of old. I don't know how to measure his performances at times as well. Jasper Wiese, very good ball carrier, but now he was pilfering all of a sudden as well, good on the ground. But Malcolm Marx is probably one of the threats, the biggest threats for any opponent when it comes to the ball at the breakdown. But when you look at the Springboks flankers, right, would you say Peter Steff is a big ball carrier for the Springboks, or is it Jasper Wiese between the two?
So what they do is, and I've seen their setup now, they've got so many, guys that can run and carry the ball up in the close contact situation. So you'll always see Jasper Wiese of the three loosies. He's the one in close contact situation and, carrying the ball up. Peter Steff, I've seen how they use him now. They're using him in the wider channels in the tram lines. And for me, he's effective there because the guy's got an offload on him. He's starting to develop an offload on him, and that's danger, because you always knew with Peter Steff, he would take the ball, carry it up hard and, go to ground. He can still do those carries. Remember Peter Steff, his biggest attribute is his engine. He's got a massive engine on him, and he's a guy that can go 80 after 80 after 80 after 80, and he's all over the box. So that's Peter Steff's big attribute as a player. And I think when he retires one day, we'll always remember him for that. As big as he is and as tall as he is, his engine and his work rate. So, for him to get into that channels, and get a few times and make meters, and playing heads up as well, playing a ball. I think the one he threw was an off-forward pass that he threw on the inside for the one try, and he threw a few offloads as well. Getting that into his game, which was not what Peter Steff was doing 2 or 3 years ago, and that just shows how far he's come. But the box, if you look at the way they play, they have guys there, everybody's comfortable carrying and hitting up the ball. Everybody can get over the advantage. Like when Ruan Nokia, even Etzebeth, the props, they all can carry and get the ball over the advantage line. So that gives you, a guy like Peter Steff, the freedom to roam around a little bit. And that was something that Dwayne Vermeulen done. So I don't think Jasper is a similar player that roams like Dwayne did. Dwayne roamed all over the park. But I think now they're giving Peter Steff, that freedom to roam over the park. He can play. If the game's going to be tight, Peter Steff is going to take, first phase ball. He is going to play close contact. But everybody, a game like that yesterday is fine. Scoop. And another thing I just want to mention, speaking now of big ball carriers and stuff, and guys that done well this year. Hats off to a guy like Walker Lowe. He has been, he wasn't in the setup, he missed out in 2019, missed out in the last World Cup. He came to the squad now. People always question him being on the bench, but tactically it's brilliant for him.
Big body,
because big body. Also, he's a dominant at scrum time. The Boks hardly miss Frans Valherbe.
Yeah.
He was the first name on the team sheet for the past how many years. They don't miss him anymore. Volko Low, Rassi's been brilliant with it as well in terms of his analysis in seeing that, in the second half, you're going to get more scrums. So I need my better scrummages in the second half. So I'm bringing these guys on, So that, he's just been brilliant with that. But for a guy like Volko Low, and he's also going to the Stormers, not this year, the next year he'll be there. So, it's a good signing for them as well. He's also somebody that, put his hand up this year. And if you're looking at a player's player of the year this year for the Springboks, he's one of those guys. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, perfect point. I'm also looking at a guy like Thomas du Toit, man. How many tackles do you think Thomas du Toit completed on last night? He's
he's working.
He's number 2 on the tackles completed after Doris.
Jackals as well, eh? He made a few jackals as well.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. He was on the pitch for 40.
40 minutes. He's number 2 on the sheet for tackles made under Doris. Doris is number 1. Oh, well, they're all on 13 tackles. But 13 tackles for a prop in 40 minutes. 13. That is incredible, guys. That is incredible. And also, I was interested in listening to how Rassi framed the whole substitution situation for the front rows, talking about using the last 5 minutes, they made a substitution, or was it 38 or was it 38th minute of the first half? They put in a new front row, took some guys off, and then he was talking about the halftime break. I think it's between 11 and 15 minutes. So between that break, a guy gets to rest 17 minutes odd or 20 minutes odd, and then you can bring them back on 5 minutes into the second half again, right? So hence people make those changes at that time. If you look at the front rows, that is, so that's quite an interesting one. So for a guy like Thomas du Toit to be emptying the engine as well on the tackle on the tackle side of things, we're not even talking about him at scrum time. We're talking about him making tackles, 13, equaling a loose forward, equaling Ruan Nokia as well. That was quite impressive for me. That's one of the other things that stood out, is like the work rate of some of these players was quite interesting. Now I want to move on to the back line of the Springboks. I think the forward pack speaks for itself. They've done an amazing job over the weekend and obliterated the Irish. But the backs now, I think, Hugh, do you think now it's tickets for Pollard in the same way it's tickets for Faf de Klerk on that 10 jersey?
It's looking that way, bro. It's looking that way. And all I'm going off is game time. Look who's playing in what games. Look how much they play, how much time they're spending on the pitch.
Yeah.
What did everybody say with the big games this year? They said it was New Zealand away, France away, Ireland away. Who's been on the pitch during those games? Everyone said that Eden Park, it was the big one. We debated it on this podcast. Who would he start at 10?
Yeah.
Pollard started at 10 at Eden Park, didn't play well, and that looks like it's more or less the end of him. He's still in the squad. He got game time against Italy. Did the Springboks start playing better when Manny came on against Italy? That's for other people to say. I think there's a debate. We spoke about it last week. But no, if you look at the big ones, France away, Ireland away, it's not that he's not starting. He's not even on the bench. And this is weird.
He's wearing a suit. He looks good in a suit. He should be modelling for Tommy Hilfiger.
And by the way, just to change the topic slightly, I think my maths might not be perfect on this, but I think the point is stable, if that's a saying. I think that Sasha's goal kicking percentage for 2025 has dropped below 70% now.
Oof.
Now, we know that Sasha's a great goal kicker. We've seen him be a great goal kicker in the past. Some people have said that it's because the ball has changed.
No, man. What?
And that's why Sasha's gotten worse, but Manny's gotten better. The ball has changed. Now, I don't know, man. I need someone more educated to tell me on that.
Yeah, so if I can add on to that, So Sasha is, one of his sponsors is Gilbert. So he's more for Bali kicking with the Gilbert.
We're not doing this.
No,
we're not doing this.
It does come in. So that's where that whole topic comes in. Sasha, there's a different balls, So Sasha's usually sponsored by Gilbert, and he's been using the Gilbert, and SA's been using the Rhino ball for their home game. But I don't think, I don't think it's so much to do with his kicking. I think it's just a tweak that he can work on in the off season with the kicking coach and just get it back. I think it's just something. It's putting me off with his stride, and I'm looking at him this year compared to last year in terms of his kicking game. So it's just something maybe that's just changed there. But other than that, I don't think it's a major deal. Like people are speaking on this whole ball thing. That's where the ball thing came from, because he's sponsored by Gilbert and they're playing with Rhino. That's where it's coming from.
That is hilarious.
Sasha's taking on hard kicks with his penalties. Like his 2 against France were really hard. So I don't think, and I think the ones against Ireland, one was definitely in the corner.
So the others were easy, man, or looked easy.
I don't think it's panic stations at all, but it is something that he was previously good at, and his numbers have dipped. That's all we can say.
Would it be because? Okay, no, it's probably not. No, it's probably not. Actually, it's probably not at all. But yeah, Jade. Then going back to 15 jersey, Willemse solidified starter at 15, no matter what, is ahead of Fassi. Even if Fassi was fit, I think Willemse would probably start ahead of Fassi in that 15 jersey.
No, listen, I honestly think that Gaza is the man, for 15. I think he's the extra playmaker in that backline. Something that Tony Brown likes. I mean, hardly also yesterday, and I wouldn't mention it in a build-up. I mean, when we spoke about the box, the game plan, we hardly saw Gaza yesterday with the ball, attacking the line from 15, coming into play. So it's something they can do more. But for me, I think he likes that second. He likes Tony Brown and Rassie likes that second playmaker there. I think he's brilliant at the back. He's good under the high ball. His kicking game has improved, and he's got this aura about him now, Scoop. He's got this aura about him. Just look at him yesterday, giving the Irish clown the hush, Irish crowd the hush yesterday. So I think you want that. You want more characters like that in the game. And I think he's living up to the hype, because remember, as much as Sasha is hyped in South Africa, the guy before that was Damien Phillips. Damien Phillips.
He was a hot topic.
The schoolboy superstar. He was, and we thought he would be, the mix between Dan Carter and Quay Cooper. We really thought he would be that guy at 10, and then he was shifted around, played 12 and then 15. But I think he's at home at 15, and I think that's his best position. And I think to give him that second playmaker role is brilliant for the box. And yeah, he's what I want to see more from him is I want to see him attack more, from his own half. I think that's now something that he can bring into his game, and he can do that. But yeah, other than that, I think he's brilliant and he's been sound. But then again, you never know with the box. The nice thing of the box is now they've got a big squad, and they can play the flavor of the month currently. They can play the flavor of the month because they've got options, so they can go with the flavor. And at the moment, David Williams is flavor of the month. Maybe in 18 months' time, Fassi will be the flavor of the month in 15th, so then Rassie will look at it.
Okay, fair.
But definitely not Vali Leroux. Not Vali Leroux. I think Vali's done. I think he's done.
No. I think everyone knows. The writing has been on the wall. The writing has been on the wall. Before we jump into the All Blacks, there's two more topics. Officiating in this autumn series, and then maybe we can touch on where Ireland goes from here, basically. Hugh, officiating, just your thoughts. Officiating throughout this whole autumn series so far in the past 3 to 4 weeks. What are your thoughts regarding the way things are being handled, the way the referees changing tune and then going back, and the involvement of TMOs? What have you thought about this autumn series for now?
I've got kind of three or 4 points, I guess. Point number one is a feel for referees, because I think that they are being set up to fail and being set up to cop a lot of flack from, they're being given a hospital pass with the job they're being asked to do, if you like.
Yeah.
I think that I would like to see TMOs improve. I would like to see more robust protocols about what TMOs can and can't phone in with, and I would like to see TMOs being more helpful. Like you saw in the Wales-New Zealand match, tempo was hindering Holly, not helping her. Honestly, I think 100%. The way that he was trying to influence her, I think, was unhelpful. So the referee on the pitch is going to get the blame for that, but I think it's not her fault in that case. I think that with the cards, I genuinely don't know what is what anymore when it comes to cards.
Lottery.
For me, I thought that Sasha's one early on against Ireland should have been a card based on everything that I'd seen.
Yeah.
But not in this case. And they see over the course of the last 4 weeks, they seem to have gone from where I thought I knew what was what to suddenly they're giving out full red cards again.
Yes.
And now in this last game, it's much more.
We've gone back to the bunker.
Yeah. It's gone back. I thought Sasha's one would be bunker all day, to be honest. But now they were being lenient again this weekend. So there's not consistency from game to game there. We know that different referees are going to be different between each other, and you'll always have that. But, when you're someone like us who watch a ridiculous amount of rugby and we're not sure anymore, then something's gone wrong. But then I will also say at the same time, as Jade rightly said earlier, Crowley's yellow card was stupid. And like in the France-Australia game, some of the penalties that the French were giving away were so stupid, like shots off the ball, just daft penalties that they didn't need to give away. That it was just thick from the players. So it wasn't the referee's fault. The players were
brain dead
to be blamed as well. So so I think everyone's at fault. Basically, I think the TMOs, the referees, the players, and the coaches for not changing the players' behaviours. And now we're just in an almighty mess.
Yeah.
And I think that part of me thinks that players are like, I don't know what this referee is going to do, given any moment in the match. So I'm just going to do what the hell I want. And it's a 50-50 whether I'll get away with it or not. Maybe, I don't know. But it's frustrating. But I don't have one specific person I'm out here blaming. I think everyone in the sport is to blame.
Oof, cheapest. Jade?
You hit the nail on the head there, because that's exactly how I feel with this. I think the whole system and the whole clarity is gone. I think the page to start, with the yes/no questions. Is it malicious? Yes. Was the intent? Was in a dangerous position? Yes. What did he rap? All those yes questions, no questions. I think that needs to be reviewed. I think we need clarity as to what exactly is a direct and red card, and when to go to the bunker. I think we need to, if there is something like that, that you borderline deciding permanent red card, I think rather send to the bunker and decide. Then you to make that on decision. Because like we spoke about last week, I have more confidence with the guy that's watching it, for 8 minutes on TV. Than the guy watching it for a minute on the big screen in the stadium.
It doesn't even take 8 minutes, right? 5 minutes is enough because you are replaying, right? And there's someone else who's watching the current live footage at the end of the day. So you can get people that can replay as much as possible, slow it down, go back to real-time action. They've got enough time. They've got resources for this now. And it doesn't make sense that we have to spend 20 hours watching the referees look at the big screen. Referees shouldn't be worried about big screen. They should be worried about the action on the field and their thoughts and their feelings of what they are seeing with both their eyes during that situation. Angus Gardner 2 weeks ago, I can see the player falling down. Yes, I get head on, it's a shoulder to the head, whatever. But at the end of the day, that guy was dropping all day. It's not like Ramos was standing upright and Lord Diogo just charged to hit him in his face with his shoulder. You always connect with the shoulder, whether it's tucked or not. You always connect with the shoulder first, and then you wrap. You can never, ever play a rugby game with the hunched back, right? To make sure that you need to look up. You need to be upright to see what's happening. But anyway, sorry, Jade, to cut you off.
No, that's true what you're saying. But I just want consistency, Scoop, especially between the North and South. Because if we had a Rugby World Cup quarterfinals tomorrow, and we would be picking the Super 8 officials and, the 4 officials that would not officiate every game. And, I mean, at the moment would be Gardner, O'Keefe, was probably the Georgian referee
Mika.
and the Italian referee, Mika, and then the Italian
Piatti.
referee, because, I mean, Piatti. Those would be the 4 at the moment, Now you're looking at that. So there's 2 from the south, 2 from the north.
So no Pierce, no Carly.
No, I'm just making an example. But I mean, it will be Gardner and O'Keefe would be there.
Definitely. That goes without saying.
There. But I mean, then the other 2 referees would be from the north, regardless who they are. But I mean, you're having 2 guys, or even you can throw Williams and Dolman and Berry, even you can throw them all in there, because there's a lot of referees from the south, and comparing them to the north, it's like they're playing 2 different sets of rules. Some referees are allowing more things to get away with the breakdown. Some are strict. Just the whole protocol, the agreement. The referees in the north, between the north and south, are no longer in sync.
Yeah,
they're no longer. There's a bigger wedge between the 2 now that ever was. So for me, I just want to see that consistency. I just want to see, World Rugby coming out and saying, yes, Super Rugby, we understand you want to speed up your game. We want to understand you want to do X, Y, and Z. But certain rules there, are not going to be good for the competition. Or Super Rugby just using their brain and realizing, hey, our teams is getting pumped. The Wallabies and the Allblacks are getting pumped at international level. Do we really need to make so many different rule changes compared to what they're doing up north? just come to one thing. Scoop. I mean, let's be honest about it. So they need to. We need the referees need to be in sync, with North and South, and then we'll start getting consistency every week. Because right now, I hate it when the team is announced. We check who the official is.
Yeah, that's what rugby is now.
It's a massive. That plays a massive role, into what you're going to get, depending on who the official is. And it wasn't like that. I mean, the times of Nigel Owens and Jacob Piper,
Andre Watson,
we were past
Jonathan Kaplan.
We were past those years, of Ed Morrison, and all of those guys in the 90s or so.
We didn't care about referees back then, right? I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, we came out of that dark era of Stuart Dickinson, Paddy O'Brien, all of them. We came out of that era where we could really see officials. What's the guy's name? The French referees as well. We came out of that era. We came into an era where we didn't care who the referee was because we knew we were getting a good spectacle. Everything was in sync. But right now we're not in sync.
I think since Rasta's video, things definitely changed in rugby when officiating is concerned. Because if you remember, Nick Berry being under the pump from Rusty's video, and then post that, remember the game we had in the second test between the Springboks and British and Irish Lions? Know how long that game was with Ben O'Keefe in charge? Because they wanted to check every single thing because of that videotape. The game went on for 2 hours, if I remember correctly. Because every single detail, every single thing, there was a TMO check, they were going back and forth on decisions. It was the longest rugby game you will have ever seen in your life because of that video. Since then, till today, we are always keen to see who the referee is for a game. We are always keen to see what influence or how they referee, right? And also, with all that knowledge, we still get surprised and shocked at the decisions that they take on that day. For example, the Sasha situation, we thought it would have been a yellow or a bunker situation because the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that's what the mandate was. And now all of a sudden it isn't, right? So there's all these dynamics. But since that 2021 British and Irish test, that's when things change for officiating. And unfortunately, that's what rugby has presented to us at this point, because also the referees are really not in sync. Another thing, I mean, when we watched Rugby Championship, we didn't have these issues. I don't think we actually even spoke about referees or officiating in Rugby Championship because they adopted the Super Rugby laws in a way. And it went on smoothly. But then now we come up north and we have this autumn series. And man, I don't think I've ever seen Springboks get 3 red cards in one season. 3 red cards in one season. Who on earth would have ever thought that? Because 2 years ago, everyone was telling us, no, New Zealand don't know how to tackle, or Australian or Super Rugby people don't know how to tackle because they play Super Rugby. Now look, 2 years down the line, 24 months later, it's not even that long of a period. 24 months later. So the situation is
Japanese-based players who are getting red carded.
That too. But yeah, guys, just to touch on Ireland before we jump onto the All Blacks, Hugh, let me start off with you. Where to now for Andy Farrell? I mean, Ireland are seen as one of the top sides in Six Nations. They were supposed to win it this year, but they couldn't. They got obliterated by France at home. And they've lost 2 now against South Africa and the All Blacks. So I don't know where Ireland stands. Oh, they also lost against England, if I'm not mistaken, this year, right? By 1 point, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they beat England.
They beat England. Didn't they lose 2 games? They only lost 1 game.
In the Six Nations, only lost 1, yeah.
Okay.
They had a scare against Italy. They had a scare against Wales. And they got thrashed at home by France.
Fair. Okay, they only lost 3 games. But I mean, yeah, it's 2 games in the autumn series. 2 or 3 years ago, you would never see this from Ireland. They look dominant. They look in charge. But there are cracks now starting to show. Yes, everyone has spoken about Ireland having an old team. They've had some people retire, some stalwarts in that sense. But at this point, going forward, do you think they can still replace a Johnny Sexton with this Pendergrast or Murray? But I think Jason Gibson Park has done a fantastic job. He's been brilliant for them. But he's also on the back end of his career. Maybe he plays for another 3. Maybe he goes to Australia, definitely. But maybe post that he stops. But is there someone in their ranks coming through at 9? I don't think so. Is there someone better than Pendergrast or Crowley at this point? I don't think so. They had Hansen at 15. The commentator even said that is the best fullback in the world. I laughed at that. I even recorded it. I'll share it on the timeline. The best fullback in the world. But I don't think so. Forward pack. They've got an aging front row. Sheehan probably stays for another post 2027. He probably travels to New Zealand for British and Irish Lions. He'll probably be the captain. Who knows? Looking at this team, man, holistically and looking at their coaching, do you think there's hope going forward? Yes, they'll remain a top 4, top 5 team, but slowly but surely they're moving down the pecking order at the moment. Ireland in 2021, 2022, I think we're number 2 in the world or number 1 at one point. But now, literally, over the past 3 years, slowly moving down the pecking order. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, Scoop, as the saying goes, the end comes slowly then suddenly. And it does feel like we are in the slowly part of it. The thing with Ireland and the thing with Andy Farrell is, if you look at their record, like you just mentioned, like they've lost 3 games this year. That's not so bad. The games that they've lost were France, Six Nations champions, the Springboks and the All Blacks. Well, that's not so bad. So you could say like that things aren't so bad. And look at the Lions tour, dominated by Irish players with an Irish coaching ticket. That's an endorsement of what they're doing, right? And you look at the URC champions, Leinster underperformed in the last few Champions Cups, but they're getting minimum semi-finals every season. You've now got Munster top of the URC as well. So you could easily make an argument to say everything's fine. But we all know that it's not. And if I just, on the aging team thing, I found a team from the 2022 Six Nations, so 3.5 years ago, against Scotland's 2022 Six Nations. There were 4 names in that starting 15 that weren't in the 23 to play the Springboks yesterday. Of those 4 names, 2 were injured and 2 were retired. So what you could say, if you were to kind of twist the knife a little bit, maybe put a bit of curve on the ball here, you could say that Faz hasn't dropped anyone on form in nearly 4 years. Now, that's probably a little bit unkind, but there's also probably a grain of truth there as well. And for sure, when I looked at that back line and I'm looking at Aki, Ringrose, Lowe, Hansen, I'm thinking, God, it's weird that in 3 years no one has broken into that. I mean, where's the winger? Where's the 21-year-old winger in Ireland who's scoring tries for fun in the URC and bashing the door down? Where's the open side flanker in the URC who's tearing up trees? Like, where's their Cameron Hanicom? Where's their, I don't know, pick an example, that you could find in most countries. There's some kids somewhere in most countries who people are like, God, you've got to get this guy into the team. And with Ireland, they don't seem to have that. And, we've spoken before about the reliance on Leinster. If you look at the Ireland team of the weekend, the starting team was 12 Leinster players. Ty Byrne, who's a Leinster Academy player and went to Wales before coming back to sign for Munster. Then you've got Mac Hansen, who made his pro debut in Super Rugby. And then Bundyaki, same again. So you're looking at it's actually been quite a long time since the Irish system has produced a regular Ireland test starter. It's actually been a while, and that's a worry. So it's nuanced, but the question is, unfortunately, there's no right answer to this question. The question is, Is Andy Farrell too loyal to the old players and he's not been proactive enough in refreshing the team? Or is there genuinely no other talent that is better than the old talent that he's got in the team? Now, whichever one of those it is, it's a bad situation to be in.
I know somebody who's keen to answer that question. Jade Craig, all the way from Bloemfontein. He's not from Leinster. He's not from Munster. Bloemfontein. And I think in Ireland they call it Bloemfontein. Anyway.
No, you spot on there. I'm actually agreeing a lot with him today. But I think if you look at it that way, I mean, you can't go on with Jamison Gibson Park, 33 years old, Bandi Aki, 35, James Lowe, 33. You're looking at guys like that in your back that you need to freshen it up.
Well, Sexton played until he was 39.
Yeah, but that was Sexton alone. He didn't play with a bunch of 39-year-olds around him. He played one guy.
Yeah, imagine it's starting 23, 37, and 38-year-olds.
Nah, he didn't play with the bunches. It's not the Masters team. It's a
golden oldies.
Over 35 team. Golden oldies. No, but that's what I'm looking at. I mean, if you look at, and also the guys that broke through now recently. I mean, Joe McCarthy broke through recently. He was missed yesterday. What's this guy's name? Ryan Byrne, the beard, the flanker. I'm actually impressed with him. He broke through now recently. So there is guys coming through. But it looks like this Leinster team that, they send, and this academy team that they're all speaking and highly about, we're not seeing these guys being brought in. I mean, the O'Briens, yes, the one winger, and I can't get the ones a fullback as well. They're decent, but they're not setting the world alight. It's not like let's look at the English backline. It's not like a Freeman or, a Fireworks or somebody like that that's coming through the ranks. So that is a concern with him. It is really a concern with him. I don't know how they're going to look at it. I don't know where he's going to come from. There was a lot of hype about the kid Farrell that came on yesterday. I think he's from Munster, right, you? He's from Munster. I mean, he caught the eye in the first few rounds of the URC. He's one to look out for. But still, it's not, I don't see somebody coming through with X factor, in this Irish team, in the system. Even said under 20 level or so, there's nobody coming through with X factor that's really stamping the authority in the URC. For Ulster, for Munster. It's like they've got a big problem now at Lucid.
I was gonna say, Jade. I mean, with
Porter Congo,
with the front row. I mean, how long have they had this front row for?
Porter's 29, but he's not listening. Porter's like the guy that's in matric, that's 25 years old and still in grade 12. He's not listening. He's still be making the same mistakes and they're keeping him behind the whole time. He's doing the same thing. He's not changing his attitude. Nothing. Because it's simple. He's a penalty leaking machine at the moment. Furlong looked like he's only 33, but it looks like he's 40 odd. I mean, the amount of rugby he's played, whether it was Lions or whether it was playing for Ireland or for Leinster, he's played a lot. He's got a lot of mileage on him. But the other thing is, now you're looking at the likes of Ulster, you're looking at Munster, and they know there's a shortage of props. How do props get better school? By getting more time in the saddle, by sending them on tour and playing against the Bulls, playing against the Lions, playing against, at altitude. Putting in tough conditions where they can learn and they can pick up on their techniques. Who did Ulster sign for 6 months now? Angus Bell from Australia. Who did Munster sign as a backup now? Michael Alalatua. So you understand they're making those decisions at club level that's not really helping Ireland. We're not getting. And when Leinster plays in the big games, Furlong's going to start, Porter's going to start. They're
the easiest team to assess, right? If we're really being honest.
Exactly.
It's the same numbers, the same players every day. It's the same team sheet and same Irish fans who are going to complain on the timeline every single week. It's like they know what's coming, but
Exactly. There was a guy.
Yes, I remember him.
Right? I think he's still at Munster. He was the first name down on Razor's team sheet for the Crusaders.
Every week.
He was every week in, week out. Now listen, New Zealand might not have the best scrum in the world, but they don't have the worst scrum in the world, And I think, Jason Ryan knows a thing or two about scrummaging.
I mean, the only scrums they lost came from Springboks. Everyone else was getting
from a Springbok.
They were doing well.
Yeah, but to choose us, because he saw last year that he doesn't want to be behind Pasleo Tosi. Now I'm going to move. I can't be fourth choice tight end in New Zealand. I'm going to move. He had the Irish passport. He started played 1 or 2 games. But surely it's somebody they can look at as well.
Yeah, but they need to give him game time. Jade. He needs to get game time.
He needs more experience. He needs more game time. He needs to be selected more for Ireland. And I don't know. I don't know. It's just me looking.
Hugh wants to jump in.
It looks like they don't want to change.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. I put my hand up and forgot. Oh yeah, I remember now. So yes, you were saying about how you always know like
the team sheet,
the easiest guys to assess.
Yeah,
it just kind of reminded me of something that I heard Pep Guardiola say. You know, I know we've all got like football fans on the call. So
Jade for one.
Pep would say like you cannot win consistently with the same players. You need to change it up. And I think that even if they are the best players that are still in the team, you need to change it up because these guys are going to get complacent. They know they're going to get selected every single week. Yeah. And if that makes a 1 or 2% difference to their application, look, these guys are top pros. I'm not questioning their character at all. If it makes a 1 or 2% difference to say if they had a guy behind them who says, look, if you're anything other than perfect, I'm taking your spot. You know,
true.
That can only be a good thing, in my opinion. And also, like you said, Scoop, the opposition, right, we're playing against Ireland. Okay, just go to the drawer, pull the folder out, blow the dust off it. Okay, right, what did we do last time we played Ireland? Guess what? To do exactly the same. You know, these are top players, don't get me wrong. But at the age of 33, 34 years old, how different are they going to be year on year from the last time you played them at this stage? So that's why just having someone new in there that the opposition hasn't faced before can be a positive in and of itself. So, you know, that's just the thing that made me think of Pep saying you cannot win with the same players over and over and over again.
Exactly. Jade, moving on to the All Blacks against Wales. I think, man, there's not much for me to take out of this game. I just wanted to see Ruben Love get a run and make as many mistakes as possible. Like just to get the test feel, play it at least. I thought he would have played at least over 60, 70 minutes at least. But he got given 55 odd minutes and apparently had a niggle, according to the reports, because I was really miffed when he was taken out because I want him to make mistakes. I want him to play these games, you know, get that international feel so he can really and truly assess his game. You know, for example, when he sits on Sunday, he watches the game, he watches his positioning, watches the errors that he's made, then he can polish on X, Y, certain areas as well. You know, that's how you learn. That's how you improve. That's how you get better. But at least he got a test. And I there's just a feeling of, there was just a bit of energy when he had the ball for me. And I liked the fact that him and D-Mac were kind of switching positions every now and again, which gave me a similar picture that I saw against Ireland, where you would have D-Mac at first 5, then you would have Will Jordan at first 5, then you will have Bowden Barrett at first 5 during phases and multiple phases of attack, which was nice to see, you know. And I think Jordan's best position, to be honest, has to be a wing. I don't want to see him anywhere that 15 jersey again. All Blacks now need to find a good and proper 15. We can use D-Mac for now, but D-Mac starts at 15. Whether there's a potential or no potential of aerial threats, let him start at 15. Let him nail that 15 jersey as his, because I think there's better options for the All Blacks when it comes to attack shape. When there is D-Mac on the field, there's Bowden Barrett on the field, or now a Ruben Love, and a Will Jordan on the wing. Man, I was miffed when I saw, what's his name? Reese on the team sheet, because I don't know why he was on the team sheet. Yes, he scored a nice try and everything, but I watched him play for the All Blacks 15 side, and I was like, this guy must never, ever see that black jersey again for the All Blacks. But nonetheless, I think this was a game where they needed to give people a run, to give people a good 50, 60 odd minutes on the saddle, because at the end of the day, these guys do need to play a lot of games, starting a lot of games. You could feel that they were a bit nervous, majority of them, because they haven't started games. They usually know that the first starting lineup will look like X and they'll come off the bench. And now, boom, they've been given a start and a bit of them nervy quite early in that game. And eventually, at some point, they got ascendancy. Wales really, really fought. And no credit to them, to be honest. I really thought it was going to end up like one of those last minute try games at one point. But then All Blacks found second gear or third gear, if you prefer, and actually took the scoreboard away from Wales. And it's really tough if you're used to losing a lot of games and there's one game where you feel like it's so close, and then just one try makes it an 8-point difference, and then a penalty now from 8 points to 11 points. And all you're doing now as a team that's been losing so often, that's a mental block. There's definitely a mental block on you don't even think about coming back anymore unless there's like something unexpected happens, intercept try, all of a sudden you're back in, then your tails will probably go up. But if there was no chance of you guys creating a lot of tries from your own ball, from set piece, from general multiple phase play, etc. Yeah, I think Wales are in that block where they need to work out their psychological aspect going into next week, because also I don't think Wales will be at full complement. Springboks won't be at full complement. It should be a game maybe that they could see as maybe a resurging Wales or something. Players that are in the Premiership, and maybe some players get to stay. But nonetheless, going back to the All Blacks, yeah, I really don't take anything out of this game, to be honest, and just wanted to see some players get a run. What are your thoughts, Jade?
Yeah, the same as you. To see some players get a run. For me, I look at this game. They put on 50 points, but they still conceded 4 tries against Wales. Just concerning. Wales has been poor all year, and to concede 4 tries against them just shows you where the All Blacks are. The other thing is, to look back and looking at guys like Karifi, could do nothing in this game against Wales. So you know that you can't go forward with this guy. Anton Brown got another game. We're speaking of Ruben Love. Yeah, he had his moments in the game. He made his mistakes, like you said. But I wouldn't pull him so early from the game. But the game changed when Leicester came on at 12 with Rico. I think they had a little bit more shape. I think D-Mac kicked well off the tee. We were speaking of Sasha. How Sasha's kicking went backwards. I think D-Mac has to be up there with one of the best place kickers in the world at the moment. He's been very accurate recently. But other than that, Scoop, the biggest talking point on this is now is how New Zealand rugby can react.
Yeah.
They have David Kirk now in there as the big boss of New Zealand rugby. What is he going to do? Are they happy with it? Because, it was concerning when you had Wallace TT afterwards yesterday after the game stating that, they won't change much. They will stick to what they believe in. So that's actually sad. Or maybe is it just, the players getting the brief from New Zealand rugby just to give that out to support their manager, to support their coach and state that they believe in what he's doing, and just maybe it's a, how can I say, New Zealand kind of AI-generated response that they're giving through the players. They want to cause any outrage at the moment, But yeah, I think it's going to be big. There's a lot of guys leaving New Zealand rugby and playing. You have Leonard Brown, Audie's playing in Japan. Rico's going to Leinster. Might be resurgent for him. I think he's one guy that can add, some freshness in that Leinster team. Give him a different attack shape, and he's different with
some pace.
So yeah, let's see how these guys pick and some pace. Yeah, let's see how these guys do in Super Rugby. And what mindset they are. How they are doing. I know Scott Barrett's not playing Super Rugby at all next year. He's taking a sabbatical. He's taking a sabbatical, so he'll only be back in April or so. So there's a lot of guys, taking it, but there's a lot of guys that needs game time, and there's a lot of guys that needs confidence again, to pick up. But yeah, like I said, Scoop, there's still questions. there's still a lot of questions regarding this All Black team. I think the tie 5 was sorted. I think they're okay there. But Lucy's, who is the best man, who is the best 6, 7, and 8? Simon Parker hasn't done himself any favors. What do they do if Cam Roycott gets injured? Because there's a big drop off if he doesn't play.
Yeah.
Are they going to be brave enough to go against the grain next year and throw Richie Mwanga in, from the start?
Ledger.
If Razor does really believe in me. Dylan Pledger is one. He's one. Let's see how he goes. And then, the guy's knocking on the door. Is he going to give guys like Jacob Rattermite, Wookie Niptons a chance? Next year, Caleb Tankatai, Kieran Tamafalau is eligible next year for the All Blacks. Tava Tapanawai. All of those guys there, because I think, Scoop, if they had to have a match tomorrow, that All Blacks X-15 team against the first All Black team, I don't think the All Blacks would really win by 50 points or so. I think they'd win by 2 or more scores, but it wouldn't be a blowout, because that's just show you that the squads, especially the backline, the players are similar. They're not too far ahead of each other, but they're not world class. And at the moment in this New Zealand team, I think there's only maybe four max world class players at the moment. I think if they want to be serious contenders in world rugby, they need to get it up to about 6, 7.
But the guys you mentioned, Jade, I mean, those are real game breakers. Those are guys with out and out pace, out and out individual skill set, great footwork, which is something that I think this backline currently under Razor has lacked. Nepkins, for one, for me, man. Tangitao has been brilliant for the XV team as well. And Highlanders.
And they're all good in the air.
And very good in the air. Tom Mofalau, I think he could be one of those breakout players for next year if they give him the opportunity, because Razor's been stubborn with opportunities. That's my issue that I've had. But nonetheless, before we get too caught up with the All Blacks, Wales.
Look, I've got people telling me to take positives from a game that we got 50 put on us. I'm not doing it. I refuse.
Come on. Plenty of positives.
No, we copped 50 off probably what is the worst All Blacks performance I've ever seen in Cardiff.
Oof.
On the All Blacks, look where the tries came from. One-on-ones, all of them one-on-ones. And it was just like, it was ridiculous. Like, Caleb just going, I'm just going to run straight over the top of you. How about that? Or whether it be Rico or Seven Reese just going, I'm going to make you look stupid here in front of all of your family.
Wow.
And scoring that way. That's where the All Blacks tries came from. If you look at, like in the beginning, just the same old All Blacks problems of playing in their own half, shipping the ball down the line, hands, until like the 7th guy in the line gets the ball and goes, oh, geez, what am I going to do with this? And so the All Blacks weren't good in this game, and yet they still put 50 on. Look, before I've got the receipts, guys. I got Welsh friends of mine saying like, oh, if we keep it under 40, it'd be a good result. Well, we didn't keep it under 40, so it wasn't a good result then. And I'm just not doing it. Like, the stats from this game are a shambles. This wasn't a serious game. This wasn't test rugby. What was this that we watched? And but I think, look, from the All Blacks point of view, you conceded a try against a team that is ranked 12th in the world whilst they were down to 14 men. So the All Blacks can sit and think about that. Tommy Rog, Scarlet's legend, born and bred West Wales, get the first man to score a hat-trick against the All Blacks since 2004. He'll remember that, and he should celebrate that for the rest of his life. I certainly celebrated it when he scored. One of my favourite players.
Yeah,
but,
same.
Look, the attack for Wales is decent. 4 tries against Argentina, 4 tries against the All Blacks. Nice one, good. The attack coach, Matt Sherratt, has been in post now since the Six Nations. So I would like to think that the attack was coming on. And to be honest, that was the one bit that I wasn't really worried about, because I think he's a good attack coach. So I always thought that we would score tries under him, and some quite nice tries. And, to be honest, like I said, it was a rotated All Blacks team that probably weren't fully focused. Let's be honest, this wasn't exactly a World Cup final. But the defence, our head coach, Steve Kennedy, apparently his USP is defence. Well, 130 odd points in 3 games. How's the defence going? 9 22 entries conceded, average of 5.2 points conceded per entry. How's the defence going? You tell me. You don't need me to interpolate those stats for you. So, no, I refuse to take positives from taking 50 at home.
Ooh, wait till now for next week for Wales then. I mean, both teams probably depleted. I mean, there is hope at the end of this tunnel for next week, no?
No, there isn't. No, half of our good players, half of our players that are getting picked aren't going to be able to be picked because they're all going to be going back off to England. The Wales squad at the moment has the highest percentage of non-Wales based players in it since I've been watching Wales ever. So that tells you the state of it. So clearly in the coach's mind, if nothing else, he's going to be bringing in players that he thinks are less good.
Jeez.
Look, would a combined regional 15 beat the Blue Bulls, for instance, or the Stormers this season? You tell me.
Those are crickets for everybody. Those are crickets. But yeah, guys, I think we can move on to France, Hugh. France against Australia. I saw someone's post earlier today about Les Kiss after watching the results of the Wallabies on some. Oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, moving along. France. Everyone talks about depth in France. Always using multiple teams since 2021. Touring teams have been different. Home Six Nations team, quite solid and consistent to some degree. And I'll say is probably 60-70% consistent. But when they tour, they will use multiple players, different players all the time. But then we talk about France as having one of the best depths in world rugby compared to the Springboks. But is it a myth or is it true that France has depth?
Well, the answer is, what even is depth? Because you've either got depth as in you have your minutes shared around between multiple players. So like the Springboks, you have lots of guys getting a lot of minutes and splitting the game time quite evenly between them, or evenly enough. You may have a clear first, second, and third, but the third guy is getting minutes. Or do you have like quality of depth where there's some guy at club level who is tearing up trees, is playing incredibly, but isn't getting selected ahead of the incumbent international player? So you could say you've got depth there. And out of those two, France are definitely in the latter, because yes, they send the C team to New Zealand. Hardly any, if any, players from these summer tours are graduating to the first team. There's literally one or two a season. Now, you might say that's still a success, but at the end of the day, if push comes to shove, in these 3 autumn tests, Galtier has picked his strongest possible team in every game. There was no rotation for rotation's sake. There was no tactical changes based on the opposition. It was the best team on the pitch in every game. And it was the same in the Six Nations. Other than, in the games that, let's be honest, let's be totally frank about this, in the games that matter to France, which is the November tests and the Six Nations, Galtier has picked his strongest team, and he only rotates either due to injury or suspension. That's the only time that he rotates. So all this about France's incredible depth, and you've got these incredible players who are tearing up trees in the top 14. Yeah, correct. They're brilliant players. That's not what I'm arguing against. But Galtier doesn't pick them. Galtier decides who he thinks is best and sticks with them and sticks with them and sticks with them and sticks with them. So, do France have depth? If so, he's not using it. If France do have the best depth in the world, Galtier, you can compare him to Razzie. Razzie's using his depth. Galtier is not. And if you're going to say, oh, but look at the tests in the summer, he can't pick his best players because they're busy playing in the top 14 final. So it's not a fair comparison because Galtier's not doing that from choice. So, yeah, that's what I got to say about that. What's interesting about in this game against Australia, is I thought that the second half was really the first time this autumn that France have really started to play like France, exerting forward pressure, getting the ball to their dangerous players in space. Now, Australia, obviously, we know have their problems. I don't think there's anything new to say about Australia in this game, to be honest with you. But I thought what was interesting was that Galtier delayed going to his bench in this game. Normally, you'd see him go to the bench quite early.
Yeah.
But in this game, he left his starters on until well past the 60th minute, which is different. So whether that's him going, guys, I'm going to leave you on the pitch until you figure yourselves out, until you sort yourselves out.
Yeah.
Or what went on there, I don't know. But it is something that was different. In terms of the game itself, Lou Bielbioré did incredible things. 2 tries, 2 try assists. Incredible solo capability there. The pack, I think, in second half got it together. I think in the first half, I think generally this autumn, France's pack hasn't looked as menacing as it has. And it looks like there has been a real disconnect between the forwards and the backs. And the backs are all just stood around waiting for the forwards to do something. And then they get the ball. But like I said, in the second half, they started to look like proper France. But now it's over. It's all finished now. They only play 3 tests.
Yeah.
So that was the end of it. So
now back to Six Nations.
Yeah, not back until the Six Nations now again. So we'll see. I don't think that France kicked on at all during this autumn. To be honest, I didn't see progress there. They saw them disjointed in the final game get kind of back to where they were in the Six Nations, kinda. But that's about it. So I think, to be honest, what have we learned? I think we've learned that Deporter needs to be starting 13 from moving forward. I think Calvin Gorge needs to be wearing 23 for me because the impact that he can bring. I know he's only had a few minutes, but worked for Henry Pollock and it worked for him. And I think, look, I'll leave you with this, Scoop. So Roman Ntamack has played every minute at 10 so far this autumn.
Still hasn't dazzled for me.
For France. So ahead of the first game, Mathieu Jalibert and Joris Sigons, who were the other 10s in the France squad, were reported as being injured in the week before the first France test. Both
I remember.
of them showed up for their club sides yesterday.
Oh, that is... I don't know what's going on with France, Hugh. But we'll watch it unravel. I will grab my popcorn because I've had enough of France being this and that, so good. But you can see that the disjointed link, which is Dupont, actually, for that forward pack and for that back line. So at times you can see that, okay, without Dupont, everyone kind of seems clueless at some point. But I mean, at the end of the... Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Even French fans at this point are like, no, we can't just say, oh, we need Dupont back. We can't be this heavily reliant on this one player. That's even French fans saying that.
No, fair, because I mean, in the World Cup in 2027, if Dupont is out, who I probably think won't be as great as he has been the past 3 to 4 years. Because there needs to be somebody else, right, to take over. Because I don't think Dupont's going to play full 80 going forward, right? So at this point, Galtier needs to be stern, needs to be frank. He needs to take charge. And I think slowly but surely, just the off-field things. I mean, Aldred not starting, going back to his club in that first test of the season. There was so much going on, and then now you're telling me that the fly-off went to his club, wasn't even picked for the Australia test. So there's so much happening off-field, which reminds me of the French of old. For those of us who probably were following France for such a long time, there was always off-field incidences. There was always off-field nonsense. And then obviously with that off-field nonsense, then they would struggle game time, right? Because they would be disjointed, everyone will be doing their own thing, etc., etc. And once France are angry, quote unquote, then that'll be the only time you'd see them play proper rugby. For example, if you remember 2011, so much off-field stuff, France were losing. I think they even lost to Tonga, for crying out loud, in that World Cup. And then out of the blue, France makes a final. Imagine losing to Tonga and still managed to make it through a final. Like they had off-field things, there was disjointment. They had a great side, mind you, in 2011. I think France had probably one of the best sides in world rugby at that time, but rugby didn't feel like it was something they really took took seriously, so but yeah, France, you just never know with them, unfortunately. But in this Gautier era, they've been more professional, quote unquote. They've been consistent, quote unquote. And yeah, and then now it seems like slowly but surely in 2025 things are unraveling a bit. Now going back, people are talking about, hey, maybe we need to sack Galtier. People are talking about, hey, we can't focus on having Dupont as being the main player for this team, etc. So there's murmurs going around now. It seems like we kind of turned the clock and gone back to how France used to be back in those days. But I don't know. We'll see. On the Australia front, man, oh man, wow. My God, no ways, man. For them to be copying, they're going back home without winning a test, guys. They are gonna go back home without winning a test in this autumn series. Has that ever happened? I don't remember Australia going home without winning a test series in the end of the year tour. This is insane. Joe
Beat
Schmidt
England last year.
there.
Beat England last year.
They did. But I mean, Joe Schmidt, surely someone has to call him to account. I know it's his it's his final test series, if you want to call it that. But at the end of the day, come on, man. It's still a job. You mustn't get paid in November. There must be nothing that comes. His phone, he must not get a... surely, on the 25th of November, Joe Schmidt must not get a notification that his salary is in his bank account. It must be zero. I'm sure it's probably not on zero, but it must be zero. There's no way. There is no way, guys. Jade, finish us.
But he's still there he's still there. He's still there. He's taking the first 3 games of next year. Because Leskies won't be there. So he's taking the first 3 games.
What a weird situation.
What?
Yeah, I think they should let the eye out. Yeah. He's taking the first 3 games. Yeah. So he's of the what's the world championship that
guys, this is a circus of the highest order.
So he's going
Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, you know what?
Ever heard of Cirque du Soleil?
I don't think they played too bad yesterday.
This is a Harlem Globetrotters traveling around the world doing jokes, basically. What a circus. Yeah. No notification on the 25th of November for Joe Schmidt. Must be no money. It must show zero balance.
Yeah, but Scoop, they didn't do too bad yesterday. But that's the problem with them, They don't have players to really put their foot against your neck, and to put the foot on the throttle and keep off the game. Because they could have won the game yesterday as well. They play better than anticipated, but were still not good enough. I think they won the collision battle at times against France. However, they're still conceding soft tries at times. They're still making stupid mistakes. For me, guys like Jorgensen, Ikitau, has been playing out of their skin this season. It's so unfair to see them in this environment. I think they deserve better. I mean, they really. Jorgensen is going to be an elite player, in a few years' time. He's going to be absolutely box office, and I hope he stays in league, in Union. I hope he doesn't go to league, make this stupid decision. It's interesting to see now. In Australia, the one thing is how it pans out now, because everybody can go and play anywhere in the world now. So you got Tom Hooper and you got Ikita going to Exeter. Agus Bell's going to Ulster. Tanela Tupou is gone. Where's he gone to? He's gone overseas. With a few guys going to Japan. So
at least it unearths some new talent, I'm assuming then.
It does, Scoop, but those guys are going to catch hands in Super Rugby. They're going to compete in Super Rugby.
We'll see.
So that's the problem again. So yeah, it's back to square one again for Australia after the promising year they had, the strides it took forward. Gosh, this team beat the Boks at the NFL, guys.
Yeah, but the injuries.
Yeah, but the team that everybody is now stating and trying to compare to the New Zealand All Black 2015 team, who's the best team of all time, Australia beat this team and they spoke. And we are saying Australia rugby's in shambles, but they are. So yeah, let's see how they regroup. Let's see what happens. But for me, it's not pretty. It's really not pretty for Australia. I think. I really, really hope the players that go overseas, the players that go to the leagues, I hope they shine and they get their form back. And they take that form that I will back in the squad next year because that's what they need. At the moment, I think the few Aussie guys that just want to get on the beach. Australia now, that's overrun.
Hey man, Tom, is it Tom Donaldson? Not Tom, but Donaldson is out there in Perth. Yeah, man, he's out there in Perth by the beach already, catching a tan already, and he's fitter, but he wasn't made. They still chose Edmund to start. Also Schmidt, man. Hey, Joe Schmidt, no ways, man. No freaking way. But anyway, guys, I don't want to drag this any longer, but it's been a great chat. I think we need to cut it off before we go on 2 hours of talking about footy. But yeah, thanks to the listeners. Thank you, everyone. Thanks you. Thanks, Jade. See you guys next week after the Boks and Isle and Wales. And in the next hour, I think, or in the next 20 minutes, I think England and Argentina are kicking off, which is going to be beautiful. Hoping. But I know what hope does. You know what hope does. Anyway, cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, it was nice shit.